Wednesday afternoon. I think it's Wednesday here in the northwest of Ireland. I've been very busy lately, but all good stuff. The ongoing role that I've assigned for myself as something of an archivist of the world that was, that can be used to regenerate it again in the future when the world that they're trying to create, the Great Reset, falls apart. I think, well, I know that this is the most pivotal flip in human history since the Edict of Milan and Emperor Constantine making Christianity the official religion of the Roman Empire. This is the second most important change, significant change since then. And just like the Chaldees and the Druids and the likes of the symposiums of Hellenic paganism and the ones who held the archives in the post-Edict of Milan history, we will keep this flame burning because it will be reignited again. And that's just what I think my job is anyway. And I'm looking back in the last 10 years, I know everything has led up to what happened since early 2020. And my job now is very much a spiritual one. As it was, it felt very spiritual at the start of the whole thing. Not that I was a spiritual person, but well, I guess I am in that kind of way. But in a kind of the acknowledgement of evil within our midst. And the meditation on evil that I've written and talked about going back a decade, it's an ongoing thing. Like, what is evil as such? To an ant living in an anthill, and the colony being devoured by the tongue of an anteater. To them, that's an evil attack by an anteater. And to the anteater, it's just say a mother anteater procuring nourishment to keep her baby anteaters alive. And that's echoed all through nature. A predator isn't personal. A predator is trying to survive. And that's probably how we should look upon this energy force that arrived in 2018 and took over and possessed and made familiars of the high-ranking NPCs in government and positions of bureaucracy and power and media all over the world. It just came here to feed. It's exceptionally and incredibly Lovecraftian in its nature, to the point where it just validates and gives veracity to my theory that Lovecraft was actually a prophet, and the Necronomicon was this somnatic conjuration of his new American pagan pantheon of cosmic entities and how it affects humanity. Right now, they're dropping like flies. The ones who have been transubstantiated. Another famous DJ has dropped today. They're all being found everywhere. It's happening. Mother Hydra's babies are swimming through their flesh and viscera and eating them from the inside out. Do you know when I said in the early days of the lockdowns, just wait? I kept repeating the statement, just wait, just wait. This will end. We will get out as soon than you think. In fact, we got out even sooner than I expected, thanks to what happened with events in Eastern Europe derailing the anal Schwab agenda for the time being, probably permanently at this rate. that didn't only apply to us, it also applied to changes in culture. And right back, we've had this dialogue in messages on the internet and in person, that perhaps the tables would flip one day, and we would be just like how I've speculated we are. Charlie putting the gobstopper or whatever it was, this candy, back on Willy Wonka's desk, and therefore passing the test. We metaphorically, in the form of the needlecraft, put the candy we were to take in order to give us special benefits on the table. That scene and that whole event with Slugworth in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, or Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, is Charlie being offered a chance of black magic for a short-term reward rather than doing white magic for the eternal long-term reward. A quick fix is a form of black magic. A quick fix is never a solution. And now it has come out that several airlines have now started to refuse, or not refuse, but it'll come eventually, advise people who have been transubstantiated by the sacred needlecraft to not fly on their airlines, because of Mother Hydra's babies seem to feed more effectively the closer they are to the source of their cosmic origin. And I'm not used, and believe me, my skirting of metaphor there is not necessarily arbitrary. And this is only the start. I can see someone like O'Leary at Ryanair charging a conveyance premium to people who have been transubstantiated because they present a high-risk passenger getting ill or having skydive. Whereas we, who are not unjabberwockied, will continue on not paying this premium. Ironically, all the restrictions that they imposed upon us are slowly, one by one, turning around and visiting upon them. What have I always told you on these videos, on all the channels and all the interviews I've done over the years? That black magic is very successful in the short term, but is catastrophic in the long term, because it rebounds. And the only way to offset the rebounding is to continue indulging in the black sorcery, the dark sorcery. But it will eventually catch up with you. It's the whole thing of like the day who cover a lie with another lie and another lie and another lie. You can't lie your way out into the truth. Well, you can't transubstantiate yourself into freedom. And that's what they've done. And they're fine. It began with the day that the needlecraft discrimination laws, the yellow star, was foisted upon us and then removed. Those who had been transubstantiated were walking around acting all smug, thinking that those of us who were unjabberwockied, were having a miserable time because we couldn't go to a restaurant, and they were laughing at us, many of them, or we couldn't go on holiday. And when that law was suddenly dropped overnight, like it didn't matter, their sense of hubris and narcissism and exclusivity went flying up their own arses, and they couldn't believe it. Well, that was only the beginning of the blowback of the black magic. When you take the devil's shilling to use an old Irish adage, it always comes with interest. Those of us who didn't take the devil's shilling, metaphorically, don't have to pay this interest. Do you remember that TV show Fame from the 1980s? If you want fame, fame costs, and this is where you start paying. Well, if you want exclusivity, this is where you start paying. Because that exclusivity and that sense of exceptionalism and privilege you have is now isolating you for a very different reason than your black conjuration that you indulged in has foisted upon you. So there we are. Again, people who are genuinely remorseful, children, and others who are forced into it, coerced into it, we will work to help them. Those who laughed in our faces, and we've all seen the numerous posts on social media of them all mocking us. I saw one recently of a woman who said, I got the latest one. What do you mean I don't know what's in it? I don't know what the 12 spices in KFC are either, in the most smug way. And then the next thing to that is her obituary a few months later. These kinds of people I have no sympathy for. I have no sympathy for the ones who gloated and delighted in our discrimination for no other reason than we did not want to be lab rats. Now, I spoke the other day about auguries, and I spoke the other day about signs and symbols. This is this fear in the normies, so to say, that some of them, the semi-sentient ones, are actually waking up to, but suppressing, and lying there in bed at night, looking at the ceiling, and going, what the fuck have I put inside myself? This is now manifesting in coronzonic energy. You have to be very careful. Lots of people are seeing the letters 333 everywhere. Of course, the New Agers have flooded the internet with stupid fucking memes about the opening of a portal to magic and all this. Fuck off. It signifies the arrival of Coronzon. And what the arrival of Coronzon is in 333 is babel. Right now, don't get involved in babel. Don't babble to yourself. How do you babble to yourself? By getting OCD about magical or spiritual connections. Seeing, oh, this is related to that, and that's related to this, and look, I saw this, oh, I saw Alice in Wonderland book the other day, and then I was in a coffee shop, and the waitress signed the coffee thing, thanks, Alice, yes, Alice, and then about 2 days later, I was driving down the road, and the song Living Next Door to Alice came back, Alice again, that's not real. The secret of the occult and magical experiences, as well as synchronicities, is that they don't happen all the time. So that's all babble. And the babble is also being drawn into arguments that are circular and going nowhere. Babble, babble, babble. Babble, babble, babble. Babble, babble, babble. This is a time for silence. Those of you who are prone to sharing these New Age memes, don't. Because you don't know enough about the occult and magic in order to be experts on things you haven't got a clue about. It's like being an electrician working with three-phase electrical systems up to 1200 volts and 200 amps, and you haven't got a clue what the colors of the wires represent, except that you know that the wires have different colors. The same thing applies to the occult and magic. You don't fucking know. Don't, by virtue, if that's the word you can use, of memes, new agey memes, start thinking you are, or there's some imaginary kismet, a serendipity involved. Babble, 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 babble. The greatest secret of the occult is that most things don't have any meaning. That's the greatest secret of the occult. They don't have any meaning. They are just expressions of our existence on this mortal plane. That way, when they do have meaning, you have the mind to recognize it. And today was a doozy when it turns out now that these airlines are now forbidding people who are Jabberwocky transubstantiated from, not forbidding them, but they're on the point of it. They're telling them not to do it. Why? Because of just wait. And that's what it's like with babel. Just wait. And another thing you need to do is be very careful. This is where we have to really distance ourselves from truthers. And I have to be commendable of Paul Joseph Watson in his latest video about Katy Perry and her eye of the tiger thing, right? That could be anything, okay? Immediately the truthers run in with MK Ultra Monarch failing and this crap. It could be anything, okay? It could be the needlecraft and palsy caused by it as well, but you can't be assuming it is. It could be a crass publicity stunt by that wagon to get attention. That's what they do. You know, she kissed the girl, she blinked an eye. You know, just be careful. You know, don't be watching Vigilant Citizen and be a vigilant individual, not a vigilant citizen. Be a vigilant individual. That means thinking for yourself and not following the herd, especially the truther herd. And they're all calling him a shill now because he said he's not. What Paul Joseph Watson has realized is we're at a very pivotal time. Be very careful of now is the moment where the misinformation is conveyor belted, dovetailed, shotgun splatted into the real information in order to create babble, 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 babble. An example of that recently was a clip of a girl dropping dead from EastEnders, and they were saying this is now Tavistock normalizing the, suddenly and unexpectedly. Turns out it's from years ago, that clip. Be careful of the babblers. Be careful of choronsonic energy. If you speculate something, the question mark is your greatest friend. The mass information the disinformation that's going to come in now is babble. Be very careful. Eye on the prize, and just wait. Sanguis Gnosis.